Hey folks, how's it going? This is Terra. Going to do a little midweek update for you here, and we're a couple of minutes out from market open. You can see here on my countdown indicator, New York Open is in 1 minute, basically. So a very, very brief update. At the weekend, I did a little bit of a deep dive. My expectations were something around here, maybe up to here, and I wanted to come down to this level, but we have this level down here. You can see with the last chance written out there. That was the last chance, so we've come down to it. We've reached it today, and we're having a really nice push out on the 1 hour. We've got this big 4 hour and opening gap at the top. I'm gonna quickly go in here and just turn these guys off so we can see it all a little bit clearer. And basically, this close to market open in 30 seconds. Figured I'd just film it. Now I am testing out some of my Terra Value Gaps settings. I'm trying out a new batch where I have the 15-minute on analysis mode and the 4 hour just on your standard one. So we're kind of watching this big 4 hour gap above us. But this is a perfect push out. This is what I use the isolator for. Hold it open here and whatnot. But I'm going to go into the 1 minute because market's about to open now. And this is a chance for you guys to see my indicators in action. So there we go, market's open. If we pull down a little bit somewhere into this region, there's all our fair value gaps. And then I want to see things go up. I want things to push up. I don't think we're bearish. I think this is it is the 60-day cycle low, which is what this pullback has been the last couple of days, being the 19th and 20th of January. And I think we're done. I think we're going to start moving back up now. So let's see which way we go. Do we maintain this bit of an uptrend that we got happening here, or are we going to continue the macro down? My bet is that we're going to pull back a little bit here on open and then push up. And I figured out what I'll do while we wait to see. We got a nice push out of this 15-minute gap here. And we got a few 1 minutes around us. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep going up. Now we do have news. We have pending home sales, which if you can't see that, let me just make it a little bit bigger for you. Where is it? News table. Make it normal size for you. So we have, this is the countdown indicator. That's what this guy is. So this line here, this orange line, is telling me there's pending home sales. That's the news event, which is at 10 o'clock. So this is what I built this for, imports, Forex Factory news event. So I know there's pretty decent news at 10. The market might be a little bit choppy around there. Currently, I'm watching the 15-minute gaps. So let's just turn the lowers off for a quick second. I'll turn it back on in a moment. And what you can see now is, in fact, actually, we've just done a pretty decent set of sweeps at the top here. We swept 2 90-minute cycles at the top, plus the London high. And we've got 2 15-minute gaps, fair value gaps below us. The open fair value gap, which we're testing right now. And we got this inversion fair value gap below us. The fact that that's there, right above the 4 hour gap that I've been waiting for things to retrace into. I want to see this hold. You know, you can see I've written in its last chance. I want to see this hold. Our profile, volume profile, the value area low is at the high of this inversion 50-minute fair value gap. So watching to see what price does for the next couple of minutes. It forms the 15-minute orb, and we might be waiting for this news. I wouldn't be surprised if it's used as the catalyst to push us up. We do have a 30-minute SMT on the 369 number down at the bottom there too. So yeah, interesting. Things are looking good. And you know what? Just for YouTube's sake, I'm going to make my table a little bit bigger so you guys can see it clearer. And I usually keep it off just because the laser show gets a little bit hectic, but I'm going to turn on fib levels, not fib levels, sorry, my flow levels. And you can see it's the counterpart to this guy. And we got it on the 4 hour and the 1 minute. So there's a couple of gray, I have them gray, so there's some gray levels in here on the 1 minute. And the 4 hour, there's none in sight. So there we go. That'll be why there's none in sight. I was wondering. Wait a minute, there's supposed to be some. Okay, so I've got a setting in my flow levels where you can hide it below and above certain time frames if you want. And I had the 4 hour turned off below the 15 minute. So I wanted to keep my charts clear. So you can see here we had a breaker structure. The downside, where if you look on the table, break, 4 hour, confirmed down structure break. But the next candle, next 4 hour candle is 10 o'clock. So in the next 30 odd minutes or so, if we continue, go back up, the next level is up here. So if we push up and close later in the day above our previous day high, which is what I'm expecting, you see all these this cluster of levels at the top here. So there's an excellent long setting up for us right here. The fact that we're not just dumping out of the sky, we're respecting this 15-minute gap here. Let me turn back on 1 minute. There we go. And I'm going to turn it off of analysis mode. I'm going to put it just back to standard. Put it down to 2. There we go. So what that will do, it will show me 1 inversion fair value gap on the 1 minute and 2 fair value gaps for 1 minute. There we go. So the 2 value gaps are these red ones above us. The red label tells me they're bearish, which of course they are because they're above. And there's an inversion fair value gap from all the way back here, which is not particularly significant. But we are closer to that than we are. In fact, it's there because we haven't inverted it yet. There is this 1 minute gap there. Let's turn them up a little bit. Usually I have these pretty low, but let's just turn them up. See what it gives us. There we go. So yeah, you can see the layers and labels are all starting to overlap now, but we are in that 1 minute gap just below us, inside that 15-minute gap. I'm going to dip down to the 15-second. Let's have a look. See what's going on down here. Quite wicky. Not a lot of volume today. Interesting. I guess everyone's waiting for this news. Clicking on the wrong thing. In fact, I'm going to hide the levels just because it's a bit overkill. If I do that, we'll be able to see the 15-second gaps. So the lower, in fact, it's a good opportunity for me to show you this. The fair value gaps indicator has a lot of options for you. And the lower time frame, or the entry time frame, I should say, has a couple of unique ones. You can disable the higher levels if you don't want to see them. But this one here, this one single toggle, this will ignore your set time frame and will use all time frames below the lower. So I've got the lower set to 15 minute. If I toggle this on, every time frame below the 15 minute will adopt these settings. It's not going to be strict to the 1 minute. So we're on the 15-second right now. If I go to the 30-second, the entry level will change to the 30-second. And it's just a nice way of keeping an eye on all your lower entry levels, because you might have it set to the 1 minute. You don't have to go in there and change your numbers, and they're all 30 seconds. If I go up to the 1 minute, they'll load up all the 1 minutes. If I go to the 5 minute, it'll load up all the 5 minutes while keeping the 15 minute and the 4 hour in place. So you can kind of jump around when it actually comes to entering your trade. Exactly. Very useful, very handy. And it's a toggle that you can just turn on and leave on. In fact, I'm just going to leave it on now. So we're watching the 1 minute, we're bouncing, we've hit the midline of our 15 minute. We're bouncing quite nicely. We might be going up now. I wouldn't be surprised if we start making a run for these highs. There's no man's land all the way out here, all the way up to probably 25,500. I wouldn't be surprised if we go up to there today. But of course, we got this news, so we'll see what happens there. And you can see this level here. You've got the border flickering on and off. That is the pending border feature. So when price is above a bearish fair value gap, it'll have the blue border. When it's the other way around and price goes below a bullish fair value gap, it'll get a red border. And it's just a way of seeing that when that current candle closes, you might flip your bias. So here, you'll see the red border. If this one price dips below it, you'll see a red border go up. But very wicky right now. Market has not a lot of volume. We're just going to have to wait and see and watch. Here's something else I'll say about my indicators. Here we have the countdown indicator. It's part of the one that has the news lines. I've got it set quite far away because I have all these other indicators taking up this space here. This, in the final few seconds, it'll change color like that. And it's a way of kind of catching it out of the corner of your eye when the candle's actually closing. And that yellowy orange color will happen at the end of every single minute. It will change red entirely when you're at the end of one of the candles that you've got, or one of the events in your like, this is called the label. When you're inside one of the events, it will turn red. So you can see out the corner of your eye when we're at the end of a closing minute. Like I have the 15-minute and the 4-hour. Yeah, and you can see here, here's that red border I was telling you about on the fair value gaps. So that will stay red bordered until the current candle closes, which will invert this, and it will flip red when it does so, like the whole thing, and it will become an inversion for value gap. Price is making a bit of a pullback, so we'll see if we come down to this level here, or maybe we'll retest the entire level at the bottom. These wicks were the giveaway when they went up, and what they call the wick and flip. So there you see how that FVG is now an iFVG. Yeah, the whole thing, it always automatically updates for you. And here's another thing that you may have noticed. The indicator is designed to always have the counts, these counts, in whichever one of the timeframes you have. It's designed to always have that number on your screen. So this fair value gap down here, when this one inverted, it stopped being a fair value gap, became an inversion value gap. And this one was added back to the chart because it always tries to keep, in this case, I'll go down to the settings real quick, 4 fair value gaps. So it's got 4 fair value gaps on the 1 minute. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So when this 4th one became an inversion, this one was freed up to allowed to be showed again. So yeah. I don't know if you're watching the central dashboard down here. This works in a similar way to SMT. These squared out backgrounds where the background is red or blue, that means that flow state and time frame, like here for example, changing the state of delivery on the 1 hour for ES, that's telling me it's pending. So if the current at 10 o'clock, the current hour closes where it is, the state in the delivery will change bullish on the 1 hour on ES. We actually have the exact same thing happening now on NQ, which is what we're looking at here. And here, this is telling me that the current weekly time frame has a structure shift to the downside, but it's not confirmed yet. It needs this one needs the weekly candle to close to confirm it. This one needs the hourly candle to close to confirm it. That's what the backgrounds are for. All the other hours are already confirmed. And this column in the middle here with the white background, that's divergence. So it's telling me that currently we've got a break, a divergence in the structure breaks on the 15-minute. We've got a break divergence on the 1 hour too. So it's interesting that things are, if you look at both of them on the 1 hour, it's telling me that they're both starting to, they're like both pending up trends. And you can see it on the chart here, we're holding this 15-minute still. Since open, we're still holding this 15-minute. And this is live. This is, you know, like with the pending borders, as soon as price comes back below this level, it will automatically remove, like there, perfect timing. It'll automatically remove the pending state. The border, the background is pending state. And also just in case the arrows aren't your thing, there's a toggle in here where you can change it back to the words bull and bear if you really want, but I've gotten used to the arrows. I like them. And yeah, I can sit here and just watch the show, basically. You can see we've got the orb high and the orb low being formed. It tells you the levels as well, because the 15-minute orb is a simple but yet powerful trading strategy. So it's built into the cycles indicator. If we get a close up here at the top of orb, won't be surprised if we break out, retest, and resume to the upside. Like I said, all morning I've been expecting bullish. I think the last couple of days have been nothing more than the 60-day cycle low, which, if you don't know, cycle theory, probably the best swing trading method that you can have. I'll come back to that thought in a moment. Did you notice this? Just pop up, don't trade. I have a setting in here which will apply this. This is for those who use prop firms that have news restrictions where they don't want you to trade a couple of minutes before and after major news events. Well, you can apply, I've got that built into this indicator. So nice and big and clear, don't trade, right? Well, I've got it set to 15-minute, which is overkill, so I'm going to put that back down to 5 minutes. And you don't have to have this on, by the way. You've got options there. You can write in here whatever you want it to say. I'm going to turn that off and it'll just disappear. And it will stay. What that little label there, say little, quite large label will do, it will pop up when you set it to your settings. And it will highlight to you when you're safe to trade. And what I would do, if you have, say, let's say 5 minutes, you're not allowed to trade 5 minutes before or after a major news event. That can be just red news, or it can be any news event. I would just give it 1 extra minute. That's what I would do. So if my limit was 5 minutes, I'd set my label here to 6 minutes. Gives me a little bit of headroom. That way I'm not stuck in a trade and gives me chance to exit if I'm already in some and so on. But here's the thing. I haven't checked Forex Factory, and yet I know when the news is coming up. I know when I can and can't trade. I haven't gone to Forex Factory except to confirm that my indicator works correctly. I haven't done it in weeks because I don't need to. I've not missed a single single news event. Now, I do jump on there and I check because I'm the developer, right? But I know I can rely on my indicator. The news events that matter are on my chart. Tell you what, let's have some fun. I'm going to turn on the yellow. So let's have a look at all the yellows for all week, because I've currently got it set to today, tomorrow. So I'm going to turn it to all week and it'll show me everything for the week. So it's now gathering the data from Forex Factory. Here we go. So you see it was a bank holiday on Monday. And you see the lines that are grayed out? They're the ones that have already passed. And occasionally you get the things that say check Forex Factory for more information. Those are usually impromptu, spur of the moment things where not all the data is actually available. But we got core PCE, GDP, crude oil, flash manufacturing PMI later in the week on Friday. So you can plan your whole week around here. And these labels, I think we'll have some more. Yeah, we've got a grey one over here. But yeah, they're coloured lines on your chart. So lots of visual cues. It's the reason I built these indicators. I like having everything in front of me. I like being able to see what I want to see. And price is starting to move back up finally. So to put that back to then tomorrow, make it the normal size because we don't need it covering up the chart. I'm going to do something on the 15-minute. I'm going to turn on mitigate highlight for my fair value gaps. I want to see the ones that have already been tested. Because what it'll do, it'll put them back on my chart with lines around it. Yeah, okay, so we're chopping into some 15 minutes. And you can see here we're bouncing back and forth between these 15 minutes. So this is a good example of why I tend to leave that option off. But we'll go in and just click it on whenever I want to just check some things. So the reason this fair value gap down here, the 15-minute, disappeared on my chart was because I had unmitigated only turned on. If I turn that off entirely, these ones should, I think these ones will disappear. You know what, I'm not sure what it'll do. Let's see. This one I would hope would stay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's keeping them all on the chart anyway because I've got the number set pretty high. So I'm going to turn on, I'm going to put it back to that, and I'm going to turn this down to 2. Because as useful as all this information is, it gets a little overkill sometimes. This is why I tend to keep the numbers kind of low. But you can see here, we're pending now because price is above it. This is a bearish 15-minute fair value gap. Price is above it, so it's pending a close, and we're actually just over the 15. So we've got our orb. We're now, yeah, here's what I said a couple of minutes ago. Break out the top of orb, retest the top of orb, and continue moving to the upside. Yeah, I think we're going up, and we're going to continue to do so. This 30-minute line in the middle there that you can see, that's a SMT. I don't think it will hold. I think it's these can be ignored on the 30-minute. You can do the 3-minute and the 10-minute, but I have them turned off by default. This 30-minute, I wouldn't put too much weight into it. I expect price will just continue going up. I mean, look at ES. So here's the structure for ES right now. Everything is starting to pend bullish. We're going up. I think we're going to go up to at least previous day high, maybe the weekly open, and the dip of the last few days. If this continues and today closes bullish, I think that dip is over, and we're good to continue going back up to all-time highs, which is what my expectations have been. I'm going to go out to the 5-minute. Yeah, look at that. Clearly bullish again. Yeah, we're starting to make some moves. So what you're going to see now, while I'm looking here on the 5-minute, you're going to start seeing these 5-minute back. That's the only 5-minute gap remaining above us. The rest of it is all just liquidity points all the way up to that big 4-hour gap and the weekly opening gap. So, yeah, long and strong, folks, long and strong. Tell you what, instead of having this video be, an hour and a half long of just me just sat here, either yapping away about my my indicators, what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna pause the video, and I'm gonna come back in like maybe 10-15 minutes. I'll do little snippets throughout the rest of the day, kind of summarize my expectations. I think we're going to have a very bullish day. I think we're going to continue to go up. I think sentiment has been flushed for the 60-day cycle, and I think the next stop over the coming weeks is all-time highs. So I will see you in a few seconds, where it will be, I don't know, 15 minutes to 30 minutes later, and we'll see what happened to price. Did it continue going higher? You know what? I'll come back for the news in about 6 minutes time. Right. Hey yo, we're back. Would you look at that? Long and strong. And price is going for it, isn't it? So yeah, I bit of a pullback at open and a ripper. Basically, I want to see what happens here with the news, and it's a good chance for you guys to see how my countdown indicator works. And something I figured I'd mention, because there's so many things I could talk about. TradingView, this is one of the fun things figuring out how to build this indicator. TradingView doesn't have a countdown feature, which is really weird. So it does down here, in the bottom corner where it like counts down the actual, clock itself. But the actual area in which your trades happen, this is called Pine Script. This area, this box, where the trade candles are all drawn and whatnot, where the indicators operate, there isn't a countdown feature, at least that I can find. So I had to build it so that it builds this label, this thing, whatever you want to call it. It has to build it off of tick data coming in. So every single time TradingView updates the chart, it updates this. So if you ever see this kind of like stopping and pausing for a second or so, it's not broken, it's not busted, it's just TradingView being a bit slow in downloading all its data. Which, TradingView, it's really not as great a platform as everyone uses it, but it's not the best thing in the world. But anyway, we're about 10 seconds out from, 10 seconds out. So this will change color. It'll change red in a second. And we are going to see what happens here on the news release. Maybe it's a nothing burger. Maybe it's amazing. Let's see. We've got a 15-minute. Is it doing anything? Kind of expected to do at least a little bit of a pullback. When you see a big run like this right into a news event, kind of expect something. Come back down to these guys here in line with this. In line with the London high. Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't have to. It could just keep going. The market sentiment right now is so bearish that it absolutely could just go up with no pullbacks. So see what happens. But you can see here, this label is continued to stay there. This label here, there's a setting in the settings for this indicator where it will keep the news event on the label, for like a minute or two, or however long you set. So it should, there we go. So it disappeared or updated now to the next one, which is 22 hours and 28 minutes away. This will update and disappear at the end of the 5-minute range that I've set. So in another minute and a half-ish, a couple minutes and a half. And it's all customizable, but it's all, the idea is, as much of it as I can, I make it as hands-free as possible. So this indicator, except to show you guys some of the settings, I never go in there. I never touch it. I never do anything. This comes up on its own. These do their own thing every single day. I don't change them. This automatically updates when the week opens. I don't have to do anything. All my settings for like this line, you can have this line turn off the moment the news event starts. I've got it set to turn off a couple hours later because I like being able to see what happened earlier in the day. It's just nice being able to see that at this candle there was a news event and did anything happen. Looks like nothing's happening and we're just bouncing out of these ranges here. We might continue up. I think everyone would expect a bit of a pullback here on a news event, so maybe we won't get it. Who knows? It is clearly very bullish, so here's an idea. Let's go look at the candles. So I have another indicator, which I'll admit, this one was not entirely my own doing. If I go into Terra Candles, I have a little shout out here. Shout out to Faddy, who had he open sourced his original indicator, and I took it and I tried to make a version of this that had ES candles over here, but it is too difficult to kind of get it all to sync and be the right size and whatnot, so I abandoned it. And I just made it my own version, added a few bits, took a few bits out. But yeah, admittedly, this one was not my own doing. But it's a useful indicator just to have on the chart here. You see the 15-minute, got a couple brilliant gap there. Breakout, retest, resumption. The 1 hour, big gap with an inversion gap there below us, all coming out of my isolation level, which is this 4-hour fair value gap at the bottom there, which is the last line in the sand. I did not want to see this get broken through. I was surprised price actually got down here. I was expecting it to stall out here, but then we had that massive gap at the weekly opening gap. And you see the 4 hour. Here's something I can show you guys. Where is it? Here it is. Now that it's past 10 o'clock, we should have a big yellow line at the bottom of the chart. Here's something that's really kind of cool about there it is. See that big yellow line? Now that the 10 o'clock candle has closed, which is the 4 hour candle, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. What I really like, flow levels, it's kind of like the counterpart to my table down here. Earlier we had the 4 hour break. So we broke structure to the 4 hour to the downside. Here, this yellow line is a sweep. So we've swept liquidity to the downside and we've closed up. Look at the 4 hour candle over here. Big wick down and a massive rejection. So if we continue up, that is massively, massively bullish. All-time highs bullish. And that's what I'm expecting. That is exactly what I'm anticipating. I've been expecting just a couple of days of dips and we're off to a new all-time high now. That's what it looks like to me. That is what it looks like to me. So anyway, let's go back down to let's go to the 5 minute. The 5 minute's pretty good. Big and 8. Yeah, look. 4 hour sweep to the downside. Market structure break to the upside. Low levels held. SMT at the bottom as well. Loads of liquidity levels swept on the way down. 15 minute levels broken. 15 minute value gaps left to the upside. Retest resuming to the upside. Beautiful, beautiful. We even had an orb trade earlier where price broke orb, came back, retested it, and just immediately shot straight out. So it does look like we're starting to get a bit of a curl down. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is that little curl down that we get now. Here's something interesting for you. Here's a somewhat unknown trading strategy that I heard of once, and I don't really implement, but I keep an eye on it because it's kind of interesting. Market mirroring. So just there, I can see a mirror forming. See that shape? Mirror it. I can see that happening. This is something I see all the time in markets, and it's a little unpredictable. It's very what's the word I'm looking for here? Speculative. I'm not sure that's kind of the right word. It's open to interpretation, shall we say. But I've seen it before, and you tend to get it at market shifts like here, where you'll see price go up, come down, and then come up like that. That kind of idea. But anyway, what if that's what we get now? Is the gist of this ramble that I'm talking about. Up, down, up. What if we get a bit of a pullback? Maybe back to orb. Maybe around this area. Maybe not at this time. I don't know when it'll happen. We just pop down for an hour or two and then continue up. News. Maybe not. It could just absolutely just rip. See, we had that wick down, and this candle, while it closed low, it didn't close below this candle low. Hard to say. We'll see. I'm going to zoom in. Let's go watch. And you see these grey levels here? These are the flow levels. So these are updated in real time on both timeframes. So I've got the 1 minute and the 4 hour. They are up to date at all times. So if I go down, you see that yellow line? That was a 4 hour. That was a 4 hour sweep to the low side. And when you look here on the table, sweep, 4 hour, bullish. That's what that yellow line is. We're in this 15 minute. We're respecting it. It's all going well. It's all going good. Strong continuation if we carry on. Or pull back maybe some down to these levels if we've got a bit more pulling back to do. It's something you can watch out for. If price dips down a little bit longer, it's going to redraw this 1 minute fair value gap. draw it out a little bit longer. It's designed that every time price hits a fair value gap with dynamic extensions on, it'll redraw them. It'll just draw it out a little bit longer, a little bit longer. That's why gaps like this are able to draw out. And like these ones, why they drew out. There we go. Did you see it? Now the price hit it, it redrew it out a little bit longer. This is how the indicator keeps things constantly up to date and always in your field of view. The reason I actually built the value gaps indicator is because I used, at one point in the past, I had some really basic fair value gap indicators, and none of them really work very well, in my opinion. Yes, they do what they're supposed to do, but they're all so basic and they don't really tell you the information you need. I ended up just drawing it by hand, and I spent all of my energy keeping my fair value gaps and my levels up to date, and I'd missed the trades because I was focusing on actually keeping my drawings up to date. That's what got me into all of this. You know, I want it to be done for me. I want to be hands off. Like right now, I'm sat here watching the market. I'm not doing anything. I'm not drawing anything. Everything's drawing out for me. I've already got all my levels. I know where the next 1 minute break of structure is. I know where the next market structure shift and data delivery 1 minute is. I know the structure for every time frame that I care about and every structure state on both NQ and NES. I know where all the news is coming up. I know where all my important levels are, which there's still this massive gap above us. You can see we've got the 4-hour levels just by the previous day high, which is where I think we're going. We're currently respecting the 15-minute, bouncing off this midline. I mean, what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? You see that data delivery line updating every time the price goes above and below the range there. It's tick accurate. Every single tick it updates. Now we got that 1 minute break. So yeah, here's that pullback I was wondering about. We've got 15 seconds before the candle closes. So if it closes down here, that 1 minute fair value gap will invert to an inversion fair value gap. It'll go red. And we'll have a little bit of a pullback. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. So there we go. So we've just broken, see there's the break of structure on the 1 minute that we had marked out. So things are now, if you look down here on the 1 minute, we've got a sweep, structure state change. We've just shifted down to the downside. There we go. Okay, folks, so at this point, the video is 40 minutes long. No one's watching this, and if you are, well, hats off to you, man. Hats off to you. I'm going to call the video there. This has been an example of my indicators at New York Open and how I use them and how they operate and how hands-free they really are. So that's it for today. I'm going to get back to my coding because there are always improvements to make, and I've got 14 or so indicators, probably about 50,000 lines of code. Did it all myself. And, you know, takes a little bit of upkeep every now and then. But in the meantime, as of today, I expect price to continue up higher. We'll see what it did later on. That's it for me. My name is Terra. If you like these indicators and you're interested, then links are in the description. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.